Michelle from the Scattered Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. Today I am working on day 5 of the 30 day or the best of the 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, and today's sketch is designed by Susan Stringfellow from Sketch Savvy. And this one is really exciting. I'm actually going to take this sketch and I'm going to turn it into a 2-page spread. And I'm going to be scrapbooking these pictures from our trip to the Prohibition Museum in Savannah, Georgia. The museum there is a lot of fun. So I'm going to be working on those, and I have a bunch of Vicki Boutin things that I'm going to use. I know this is mostly her travel collection, but let's see what I can do with it. Let's get started. I don't often do double page spreads, so this was a lot of fun. The first thing that I've done is found my background papers, and these are from Vicki Boutin's Color Kaleidoscope. And I picked them because they kind of go with the mood of where we're at the Prohibition Museum, and they have text in the background that kind of looks like newspaper text. So I thought that really helped tell my story about being at the Prohibition Museum. And I'm using this washi tape here that's from Vicki Boutin's Let's Wander collection. I just absolutely love it. I think it is stunning. It has the same print on it as this paper right here, which is probably my most favorite paper from that collection. But the washi tape has this, coppery gold. I'm not exactly sure what color you would call it. It's definitely more of a burnished gold than it is like a yellow gold. But anyhow, it's just beautiful. And I love it. And this particular wave pattern reminds me of Art Deco, as does this orange paper with the scallops on it. And of course, I absolutely love orange and blue together. I think they are beautiful when they are put together. So I'm using these two papers as my layering pieces behind these photos. And I struggle a little bit trying to decide where I want to put my photos. Like if I want to have them kind of up and down like it is in the sketch, or if I want them straight across. And then I've got these odd sizes over here where I've got a 4x6 and I have two 3x4s, but the 3x4s are different orientations. So I'm like, what am I going to do with these pictures? Oh, so at first I think, well, I'll do another photo mat or layering like on the other side. And I tried it with striped paper and I liked the colors, but it blended in the background of my main paper because its background is brown and the background of the stripes was brown, and so I just didn't like that. So then I'm like, well, look at what I've already done. So I already have the orange paper, so I put that on there and I like that. And then I tried the blue paper and I didn't like that because it wasn't quite wide enough. I mean, it would have worked, it would have been fine, but I wasn't feeling it, so I took it off. And now, because I can't make my decisions on the right side of the page, I go back to the left side of the page and I go ahead and trim that orange piece down just a little bit more. It was from the paper pad, so it had the little fuzzies at the top from where you take the strip off. And I wanted to trim that off, and I'm like, I need to trim that down a little anyway, because it was up a little bit too high above the blue paper, and in my mind it had to be trimmed. And then I needed to move it on up, so I have to make room for what I'm going to be doing on the bottom of the page. And I did a little bit of pre-planning for this page because, like I say, I don't usually do 2-page spreads. And also, since I wasn't following the sketch 100%, I had to do some thinking. And it takes me a little while to do some thinking sometimes. So I didn't want to have like a 2-hour video. So I did pre-plan a little bit. And so right here, if you look in the sketch, on the bottom of the sketch is this triangle or triangular piece. And instead of using paper, I decided to make a triangular shaped cluster. So that's what I'm building right here. And I have a big label or tag that I'm going to do some journaling in. And I'm just building a bit of a scene around it. So I was thinking, as I was going through all of these die cuts from the Let's Wander collection, which is a travel collection from Vicky Booten, I was thinking, what could I use that would go along with the mob? What what do you do with a travel collection and the mob? So I was thinking, well, if you're hunting the mob, then you might need a map. If you're a detective and you're looking for gangsters, then maybe you'll need a map of the city. So I decided to use this map. And then I'm thinking, well, you'll probably need a compass if you're doing a map. You probably don't need a compass, but hey, let's roll with it. So I picked out the compass. And then, of course, a detective needs a notebook to be writing all of his clues down in. So I went ahead and picked this little journal die cut that says travel journal. And I'm going to leave it as travel journal because goodness knows those detectives probably did a lot of traveling. So those are my rationales for these die cuts that I picked out for this particular cluster. And at first I was going to put that compass on the top, but then I'm like, wait a minute, you can't put a compass stacked on top of glasses. That won't work. Even though these are flat and they'll stack just fine. And then I pop up a few of these little flowers on some foam tape, and I have this vellum city skyline. And I thought that was just perfect for, a gangster or a mob scene, is to have the city skyline. And I just used my little dots on the bottom to put that down. And then I just flip it over and trim it down, and look at the back side of this paper, y'all. Is that not a gorgeous green? I'm kind of sad that I only have these two papers because I love that green on the back. So now that I have stared at it long enough and thought about it long enough, I'm going to go ahead and put these papers down, or the paper down and the photos down. And I like the configuration that I have them in. So I'm going to go ahead and commit. And looking back at it now, I kind of wished I had moved them over to the left just a little bit. I think I've got them over to the right just a hair too much, but it's okay. It'll all work out. So now I'm going to be building another cluster at the top, another little scene here. And I've got to move my pictures down a little bit because they're just a touch too high. I don't want them running into my cluster that's at the top. And I've already picked out a few things. So I know I want to use this tag. And I know I want to use this big leaf because it's going to serve as the point. Because if you, again, look at the top of the sketch, there's another little triangle up there. And so this cluster is going to represent that little triangle. So I've got this one situated, and I'm going to glue that down. And I'm trying to get it in the center, but I think I have it over just a hair. But like I say, it's okay. It works. And again, I'm going to use this tag to do a little bit of journaling and just talk about what we were doing, like where we were at and what we were looking at. And probably not too much of journaling though, because I do mostly like project life type scrapbooking, so there's a lot of journaling in my pocket pages, and that's why I don't do a whole lot of journaling on my 12 by 12 layouts because they're just in and amongst my pocket pages, and there's lots and lots of journaling usually on those. So these 12 by 12 pages just kind of let me be creative. I can just do all kinds of stuff. And I thought I would put a little flower on that side, but I didn't like the weird gap that was between the envelope and the top of the page, so I just went ahead and put the envelope up there at the top. And I'm just filling in and building the shape of a triangle. And I haven't decided if I want to put my little pigeon up on foam. And guys, this is why I picked out the pigeon with the letters, because he's a stool pigeon. He's done told on everybody, y'all. So there he is with his little letter. And of course, you know, I would assume back in the 20s there was a lot of letters going on in addition to telephone calls. So sure, why not? We're gonna use the letters as part of our storytelling here. Especially with that stool pigeon. You know he's writing stuff down and passing notes. So I find me another flower here to pop up on this corner to finish off this edge and bring it down towards the point of my leaf there. And that's when I decide to go ahead and lift up the pigeon. This little pigeon is so cute. I love his blue wings. And let's see, I'm going to fill him full of foam squares and get those down. And then I need to find something to go in that bottom right hand corner to join my little stool pigeon and the leaf. So I'm going back to my flowers and I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh, these blue ones are cute, but I don't like that weird gap between the two leaves. And so I look back at my other cluster and I'm like, oh, I just have yellow and pink flowers there, so I'll just do the yellow and pink over here. Well, and there are the small orange ones, and I already have the big orange one in this one. So it's very helpful to look back at what you have done, like Miss Janet at our TS Scrapbooking says, when you don't know what to do, look at what you've already done. So here I've got my main foundation down. Whew! And here is my title. It says Wanted, Public Enemy Number 1. So that could go kind of two ways. Since we're at the Prohibition Museum, Wanted, Public Enemy Number 1 could be the alcohol. But in this case, well, it serves two purposes. Because on the right-hand side, we're at the very beginning of the museum. And then on the left-hand side, we're at the beginning of the museum. On the right-hand side, we're a little further into the museum. And it's talking about the gangsters and the mobsters and the rise of organized crime during Prohibition. So it can be alcohol, and it is for the gangsters and mobsters. So here I'm just trying to figure out, where do I want to put my title? I cut out a lot of fiddling around with moving that title all over the place. So it's kind of where it's going to end up being. But while I'm still thinking about this, is this what I want to do? I go do other stuff. So I have these little metal arrows that I have in on three different pictures here. And then I see these arrows and I'm like, oh, maybe I could use these to kind of guide the eye across the page to read the title. And I can tell you, as soon as I put down that very first arrow, I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I don't know why I kept doing it, but I was thinking, no, this will be cute. At least put it down and look at it and see what will happen. Maybe it will look cuter if you get it down. No, I still don't like it. Those will not stay. Even though they're staying for the moment, because I got to think about it for a minute, even though I already know. So while I am thinking about putting those arrows away, I go ahead and build up these little clusters with the metal arrows. So I have in the top left-hand corner, I have the 2 tabs. And then down here on the right-hand side, I just have these little scalloped type tabs. What is that punctuation called? Brackets. Kind of has a bracket shape. And then I'm looking to see what else I can put in these clusters. So on the top, I put a little tab that says documented. And then this one that I'm putting here says not good. And it really is not good because that's a crime scene. So yeah, that's not good. The exhibits at the Prohibition Museum are a lot of fun. They have so much information. There's some interactive ones and a lot of photo opportunities that you can take pictures with the, I don't know if they're wax. Maybe they're wax dummies, but anyways, they have lots of places where you can get in and amongst and take pictures, and it was a lot of fun. My daughter and I were talking about our Savannah trip the other day, and both of us were like, we need to go back. And she was like, yeah, I want to go back through that museum, but I want to do it at my pace by myself. She said we took too long because we wanted to stop and read every little thing. And she just wanted to walk through it herself on her own time. Okay, so I've got all of my little metal arrows tacked down with their brads. And now, one of the things I did not like about my title was the colon was from the little black alphabets. But it didn't look right, and I didn't like it. So I went and cut off the bottoms of exclamation points to make my colon to match the wanted. And now I'm going to put some white enamel dots around the page. And the last thing I'm going to do is put some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. I'm about out of it too, and I'm really sad. I've got to find me another gold splatter thing that's not Heidi Swapp Color Shine. Sadness. Let's see. Yep, I'm going to put these on here. But I don't like how I put them, so I'm going to move them around. And then I'm thinking to myself while I'm putting these on, do I want to put them in my big clusters? And yes, I do. And I thought about putting them kind of in and around and amongst my big cluster, but I decided against that and just decided to put them on the perimeter, kind of along the outside, and just some little nooks and crannies, and put them in here. And my daughter came in and was talking to me, and I was asking her what did she think about it, and she told me it looked really nice. And then right here she's like, you just need that one, Mom. So I was like, I do? Okay, I'll just leave it. I'll just put that one, and then I'm putting one over my tag hole. And then I decided I did not like where I had these because they were kind of touching my big cluster, but everywhere else they weren't. So I was like, I got to make that match. And then the last thing besides the Heidi Shine is I wanted to put something beside the wanted, and I'm like, how about an arrow? So I went looking for an arrow. The only arrow, well, no, I have 4 arrows now. I was going to say the only arrow that actually made it, but no, my metal arrows are there. So that is going to do it for this layout. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Hope it gives you some inspiration. Please make sure you check out all the links below for Christy's Beautiful Life and for the link to the playlist of all the people who are participating in this round of 30 Days of Sketches. And I think this is going to do it. There'll be some close-ups coming up, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.